The world is hell because you might live a good life, and that's good to you. But no matter how good of a life you live, it can never beat the feeling of exploding in a war due to a bomb or a drone, can never beat the feeling of being set on fire or tortured, can never beat the feeling of having your head cut off or being delimbed. Unfortunately, those are the strongest feelings ever. Prove me wrong. There is no stronger feeling. I don't even think a psychedelic could reach the feeling of pain. Pain is the worst feeling that there has ever been. And as long as there is pain, there is hell. Hell cannot be cured. It just simply exists. So the question is, what do we do? Well, I propose an answer to this. There is a cure to hell, and you are just a fool. The cure is simple, and the cure is everlasting. The cure to hell is mortality. You see, the human dies, right? That's the problem with humanity. The human has to pass away eventually. You know, your mom, your dad, everybody has to die. You think of war. Why are wars fought? Well, they're fought because of death. It starts with one thing that happens, and then inevitably leads to another thing that happens. And then suddenly, you have bodies piling up. And once the war ends, those bodies are not forgotten. We remember the bodies. And we try to move forward. But the mortality, the taking away those people in war, what you have done to those people, when you have taken away their people, we remember those things. And we hold on to them. So, what if we only hold on to those things because we think that we only live once? It's like you have taken away someone forever. You know, it's like you've forever taken away somebody that you can never get back. But what if that was a lie? Just an illusion. What if you could get that person back? Maybe not the same person that you had seen before, but you'd get a clone of that person in a different brain inside of a different human being. The brain is an exact clone replica of each human. This is a proven fact. You not disprove it. We are the Homo sapien. Homo sapien. We are categorized under a subset of Darwinism. And we are the Homo sapien derivative of Darwinism. So the best way to put this is that we are all clones. And we all only express different faces and different structures because of a rule I call chaos theory, in which everything expands into chaos, and yet everything is also organized at the same time. And this can be proven looking into the universe, that the universe is organized, that the universe is perfectly organized. gravity, everything. Physics, perfectly organized. I mean, we would not exist if the universe was not quite literally perfectly organized. But at the same time, the universe remains chaotic. The universe is not perfectly organized. It is a wasteland. It is destructive. It is chaotic. 50-50. Now, this is what I solved. I solved 50-50. Two sides to everything. Cut my phone in half, for example. Two sides to my phone. Two sides to me. Two sides to everything. Lip, cut that in half. Two sides. Replicated. There is a 50-50 to all of physics. Literally everything can be split in half. Now, it might seem simple at first until you realize this is actually a fundamental to all of space and time. Even time works in this way. We have a beginning, middle, and end to all of time. That's how it works. All of time has a beginning, middle, and end. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Diagonal for up and down, left and right. 1, 2, 3. It's perfect division. So I'm trying to argue to you that basically I believe that we are clones and that we are the only conscious clones on the planet, and that we're beyond all other animals because no animal has consciousness. And inevitably, it might sound like I'm denying a God, like this is an atheist theory, a theory that is denying of God. But there's one important thing to this theory that I have solved. Why are the animals not conscious? Why are the humans conscious, but no other animals? This is the only thing that I cannot solve. Look, I have solved death. I am the first scientist to have done it. I'm not really a scientist, but I know a lot of things. Why are the human Homo sapien beings, out of all the millions upon hundreds of millions upon billions upon hundreds of billions of different creatures on this planet, and you got one, it's like hundreds of billions of white balls in a ball pit with one red ball, and you have to reach down, you gotta grab that shit, and you're not gonna get it unless the game was rigged. Something designed the game to where that red ball would immediately be in your hands once you reach into the ball pit, like a magic trick. Which means that I believe that not only does biology follow Darwinism, so does the universe follow a type of Darwinism. I believe the universe exists through a multi-universe, and I believe that this multi-universe has evolved over trillions of years, perhaps even longer than trillions of years. And I believe somehow it has evolved physics to such a perfected state that it has designed a conscious way to exist over such a long period of time. You gotta understand, consciousness does not exist until it exists, until it's absolutely perfected. That's when consciousness exists. When it's been absolutely perfected, that is when it exists. So all the time that evolution has been evolving throughout the universe, throughout the planets of the aliens and the alien species, because we have to assume there are aliens. It's math. It's mathematically true that there are aliens. They have only been evolving as a test for nature, as a test from the universe for creating nature. I believe the universe is trying to perfect a simulation of nature. This is what I believe it was doing over trillions of years. Because you gotta understand, we don't just come out of nowhere. We don't just come fucking like that. We don't just come out of nowhere. We have to be born. And how can we be born unless the physics were not perfectly designed for us to be born? You gotta understand, the physics must be perfectly designed for us to be born. Look at the planet, the Goldilocks zone. The sun has to be in a perfect position. Everything has to be perfect. And I believe the physics has been designed this way intentionally as a way to avoid alien contact amongst civilizations. I don't believe the universe wants us to connect with each other just yet. I don't think it actually has developed a proper system for us connecting with each other. You gotta understand, we developed the nuclear bombs. We're protecting each other from ourselves. Imagine protecting yourselves from a planet that has the power to destroy planets. Okay? That's very hard to do for a civilization like humanity. So I believe for a civilization that is starting out, I believe that aliens are perfectly distant from each other intentionally by the universe to avoid conflict, to avoid destroying planets, to avoid conquering the universe. For example, the universe is one step ahead of its creation. The universe is somehow all-knowing. The universe is well, I say somehow, but then again, it's evolved over trillions of years, possibly hundreds of trillions of years. So it's not somehow all-knowing, it just is all-knowing, because it has evolved to be all-knowing. But there is no God. I believe in the multiverse theory, in which the multiverse only exists for evolution. So God is the universe, essentially, and has created a perfect format for life. And the reason it's created life, I'm still not sure yet, but I believe it's because life is technically a perfected state of matter in which we can create anything out of anything with enough evolution, with enough time. We can do anything. Anything we put our minds to, we are possible. We can do it. Anything we put our minds to, we can get it done. A lot of information. I know, watching Joe Bart on the TV right now. I love you, Joe Bart. But a lot of information, I know. But basically, I believe that this is how it happened. I think the universe is to blame. There's no other way. Look, I want you to consider this. We came from the universe. This means the universe had to have a way to develop us in the first place, which means it had to evolve a way to develop us in the first place. So, essentially, we were born intentionally by a supercomputer, which is the universe, which is connected throughout a multiverse. Because why assume there's only one when there's not one of anything? Everything is infinite. Everything is infinitely repeated. If you couldn't tell, there's not one of anything. You cannot say there's a single thing of anything on this planet at all. There is always a duplicate. There's always a replica, a replication. The same thing goes for the universe. A planet, millions of planets. A sun, millions of suns. It's all replicated. The entire system, absolutely replicated. So why assume there's only one universe? When it's replicated, it is a replica of itself. Why assume that somehow a magical explosion brought to life humanity when we can assume that this magical explosion had to started much longer than 13 billion years ago and has been evolving ever since? It makes more sense to believe that the universe is at an evolution state rather than to say that it came out of nowhere and that it just magically became organized and the physics perfectly matched the universe to where everything could work the way it does today. The way the planets rotate, everything. The way that the physics work to develop suns and planets are very complicated physics. If you don't know, these are extremely complicated physics. To come from nowhere does not make any sense. I believe the physics has evolved with space and time. I believe the physics itself is evolving. It is showing an evolution. The physics don't stay the same. They are going to evolve over time. I mean, when I say physics, I mean the fundamental physics. I believe they're evolving. When we die, we come back to life because we are replicas of each other. This is the truth. And as much as it sounds impossible, this is the world that we have to accept. There is no other world that we can ever accept other than this world right now. Because unfortunately, I've tried my hardest. Look, I don't believe in gods. I believe in science, and I've always wanted to get down to the bottom of death. But this is the answer. There is no other answer. I am very confident that I have finally solved it. Over all these years, I think we did it. I think we solved it. And I think we can end war. And we can do a lot with this information. It starts with a stepping stone. We have to start with the stepping stone first. But it is reincarnation of the human being. The human being reincarnates into a new human being. We're clones of each other. This is how it works. If we put this knowledge to good use, hopefully we could end war. That's the idea, is to hopefully end war. And to do much more. I mean, to bring us advanced technologies. I'm not sure if this information could do that. But that is the information I have, and I hope you guys do good things with this information, because I figured this out a long time ago. Two eyes, one nose, one lip. Teeth, exactly the same. We all stand on two legs. We all have 5 fingers, 5 toes. I mean, how is it impossible to, realize that we're clones of each other? I mean, yeah, it's in your face. So, pay attention to the brain. The brain, too, is a clone as well. It's also cloned as well, the brain. Along with your internal organs, which also happen to be clones of each other as well. Which is pretty interesting. And if you also think about how Darwinism started from a seed, started from a Big Bang. That's what I like to call it. I think it started from a Big Bang. That's how I believe the Darwinism started. I believe it replicates the universe. I think Darwinism somehow, some way, replicates the universe and its evolution. Because Darwinism starts from a singular seed and expands into a chaotic, unorganized format of organized formats, if that makes any sense. You know, well, yes, we have organization to Darwinism, but at the same time, it is chaotic in its expansion. Darwinism's chaotic in its expansion. Much similar to the universe, started with organization and then became chaotic with its expansion. 50-50. It's what I like to call it, the 50-50, in which it starts from organization, expands into chaos. I always like to describe a seed to a tree to be much similar, because as much as you can predict that the seed will become a tree, you cannot predict where the branches will grow, and you cannot predict how many leaves will be on that tree, because it is chaos. It is a chaotic format of organization. This is how it works. I call it the chaos theory. Make sure to watch this video back just to make sure you understand what I'm saying. Because I say a lot of important things here about reincarnation, and about another cool thing to consider is the number 0 is not a real number. So what I mean by this is that 0 cannot exist because it already within itself does not exist. Do you understand what I'm saying? There is no 0 because 0 is 0. There is no 0 because 0 is 0. 0 doesn't exist. It's a placeholder for 1. 0 exists for a placeholder for 1. So what does this mean? Well, it means we cannot die. There is no 0. 0 doesn't exist. Think about this. When you black out when you're drunk, there's still something, right? You either completely black out and you instantly wake back up, or you black out and you have like little, glimpses through time. So when you get blackout drunk, this is what happens. Well, same thing when you die. When you die, you're basically getting blackout drunk. You're dead. You're instantly transformed back into life. There is no death. Death is 0. Death is the number 0. It does not exist. There's nothing after death, because you reincarnate into a new human being. This is how it works. This is exactly how it works. So 0 is not a real number, technically. It is like a thumb to a finger, but not even, because it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. So I want you to consider this, to study this information. I want you to take time, hard consideration into the odds of being alive, because they're technically impossible. And I think I figured out why it's impossible. Because it's not impossible. It's the only thing that is. There's nothing else but life, because everything else is unconscious. There is no life in an unconscious being, because there's no perception of time. Or not even that. There is no life in an unconscious being, because they cannot build a rocket ship. So best way to put that shit, if you cannot build a rocket ship, well, okay. If your species cannot build a rocket ship, then your species is unconscious. If your species cannot, and actually I have this theory that I believe that life actually starts, it's a random theory, but I believe that life actually starts in the new age, in the new world. I believe that back then we mimicked consciousness, much like animals mimic consciousness, but I believe we were not actually conscious. And the reason I believe this is because the odds of being alive today are 1 in thousands of years. So just to be alive today is almost impossible as well. When you consider it, it's almost like we kind of popped into existence as evolution of humanity had evolved into a type of information cycle. So I almost believe like we were conscious, but we were not really there. We were more of mimics of consciousness. I mean, to be born in the age of a computer versus being born in the age of a Roman Empire, or 1 in 1,000s, 1 in hundreds of thousands. And I also don't believe that personally, I don't believe that, well, I don't even believe that, I lost my train of thought, but, it's a funny theory. That theory specifically, it's a funny theory, because I'm not too sure about it. Because it's possible we were alive back then, but also the odds are very impossible and very thin. So it's like, why be born now when we could have been born back then? That's the question. That's the great question of this conversation here. This conversation. But then again, who knows? Maybe they were conscious. I don't know. Yo, I'm gonna be honest. If I'm gonna be honest with you right now, I don't know. Because the odds are impossible. The odds are quite literally impossible. So, it's very interesting. How long have we been around for? We've been around for a long time. We've been around for a long time. But yeah. It was definitely great to have this conversation with you guys. I believe I solved death. I believe it's reincarnation of the human being throughout genetic clone theory. And this is what I believe. And a lot of interesting things. So I hope you consider it. Take it into consideration. And yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it very much for stopping by, for checking me out. And yeah, I hope you, I hope you fuck with the video, man. I hope you like it. And, high as shit right now, bro. Smoke some weed, but like, this isn't something I just thought of in a day. Like, this has been years of development. Reincarnation is the answer to death. There's no other answer. I promise you, they're going to figure it out in 1,000 years. They're going to figure it out. In 1,000 years, they're going to figure it out. They're going to come back to this video, and I'm the guy who solved it. I'm the guy who solved death. So that's what I did. And just, I want you to study this video, and I want you to take it into importance, because I promise you that there is no other answer that makes even any logical sense at all. There is no answer to death that makes any logical sense whatsoever. I want you to think about a perfectly organized system. That's how this would exist. A perfectly organized system in which we reincarnate when we die because we are clones of each other. We live through each other. So we need a perfectly organized system throughout a chaotic system. And why would you have been born anyways? Because technically your odds of being born were 1 day. You had 1 day of birth, which means your odds of being born begin at that 1 day. So your birth was in 1 day out of how many days? Hundreds of thousands, if not millions, if not even possibly billions of days. I could assume that there's more to that. I don't know. I don't practice that kind of science. But what I'm trying to tell you is that you have such a rare odds of being born at all that you have to assume that your birth happened because you are a part of the species, which makes more sense, because if only one conscious species was designed to live on the planet due to physics, then you have to assume that you would exist with that one conscious species, and that you would have to have been born over billions of times to have been born that one singular time in that one singular day in which you were born. So I wish for you to take that into consideration as well. In that day in which you were born, of which all the days of human history you could have been born. But you were born on that day. So you have to assume that you were only born on that day because you had reincarnated multiple times to have been born on that day. Put it like that. So, anyways, I'm done with this video. I hope you appreciate it. I hope the scientists that are studying me in the future are cool and not weird. Hope everything's working out for people, and I hope the world has been solved. I hope you guys have figured things out. I hope NATO did something cool or something. One of you guys did something cool, you know. Someone did something and united the world. So, when you guys figure this out and solve this message or whatever, I hope you guys have, like, literally, like, hope you did it, man. Anyways, I love you guys. Peace out. And I'll talk to you guys later, man.